call on His Excellency, Mr. Parfait Onanga-Anyanga, the Special Representative of the Secretary General to the African Union and Head of the AU to the Office to the AU to deliver his statement.
Your Excellency, Dr. Monique Sanza-Baganwa, the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, standing for His Excellency, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Mahamat Faki. Your Excellency, Ambassador Meganu Arga, State Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, representing the government of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. Your Excellency, Janab Bajani, Ambassador, Permanent Representative of the Gambia to the African Union, and Chairperson of the AU Peace and Security Council for the month of April. Your Excellency, Ambassador Bankole Adehoye, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security of the African Union. Your Excellency, Major General Karamba, Ambassador of Rwanda to Ethiopia and Permanent Representative of Rwanda to the African Union Commission and ECA. Your Excellency and your brother, Pierre Claver Gatete, Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Africa. Your Excellencies, ambassadors, and permanent representatives here today, religious leaders, representatives, youth representatives, ladies and gentlemen. As we gather here today at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. It is with solemn reverence that we reflect on the tragic events of those dark days. We stand together, united to remember and honor the memory of the more than 1 million lives lost, to show our solidarity with the survivors, and to renew our commitment to ensuring that such atrocities never happen again. Please allow me to start by sharing the message of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and I quote, "On this day in 1994, and for the nearly 100 days that followed, 1 million Tutsi children, women, and men were killed by their fellow Rwandans. Families turned against families. Friends became foes. And a dark spirit of intentional and brutal violence engulfed a nation. We will never forget the victims of this genocide, nor will we ever forget the bravery and resilience of those who survived, whose courage and willingness to forgive remain a burst of light and hope amidst this dark chapter in human history. This year, we remind ourselves of genocide's rancid root: hate. We can draw a straight line between the senseless slaughter of 1 million Tutsi, as well as some Hutu and others who opposed the genocide, and the decades of hate speech that preceded it, inflamed by ethnic tensions and the long shadow of colonialism, as we have just witnessed before this event. Today, around the world, the darkest impulses of humanity are being awakened once more by the voices of extremism, division, and hate. To those who would seek to divide us, we must deliver a clear, unequivocal, and urgent message: never again. On this solemn day of remembrance, let's pledge to stand as one against all forms of hatred and discrimination. Let's ensure that the acts that began on April 7, 1994, are never forgotten and never repeated anywhere on this planet. End of quote. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in addition to these profound words from the Secretary General of the United Nations, please allow me to add some few remarks. What happened in Rwanda in 1994 and the years that preceded it were indeed among the darkest chapters of the 20th century. The international community failed the Rwandan people. Warning signs of impending genocide were ignored, including hate speech, incitement, and the mobilization of militia. And as a result, over 1 million children, women, and men faced brutal death in what has been correctly described as a preventable genocide. The theme for this commemoration, remember, Unite, Renew, encapsulates the essence of our collective endeavor. It is a call to action for all of us. Yes, let's heed the call by the Deputy Chairperson to celebrate the triumph of humanity over evil. This is a cry from the heart towards one goal: to ensure that the genocide that took place in 1994 in Rwanda does not happen again, ever again. How can we achieve this? Firstly, let us remember the horrors of genocide, fight denial and revisionism, and give a voice to the survivors. We must stand in solidarity and draw inspiration from their courage and resilience. Secondly, we know from the tragic experience of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda that mass atrocity crimes do not take place in a vacuum. On the contrary, these crimes are always preceded by numerous warning signs. We must be alert to such signs and act quickly to avert them. We need to ensure that the tools and mechanisms at our disposal are active and can work with the policy organs of our organizations to take timely and decisive actions and not be undermined by political interest and expediency. In this regard, We recall that the principle of the responsibility to protect, which was adopted by the UN General Assembly at the 2005 World Summit, recognizes that the first responsibility is to prevent or avert mass atrocities from occurring in the first place. Allow me to seize this opportunity to welcome the appointment of Mr. Anyanga. DCP, there can be certainly no better person to help us move forward on this important agenda. In addition to the responsibility to prevent and to protect, governments and the international community also have a responsibility to rebuild. The responsibility requires us to join hands with the communities emerging from conflict to ensure that the root causes are addressed sustainably and political processes are well supported to prevent relapse. Peace processes must take into consideration the whole spectrum of issues that lead to genocide, conflict, or violence in the first place. The politics of hate, marginalization, intolerance, and discrimination must be addressed, including rebuilding national peace infrastructures, which promote national dialogue and the mechanisms for the peaceful resolution of disputes. Thirdly, let us renew our commitment to justice, accountability, and the fight against impunity. Indeed, the trials conducted by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, the Rwandan judiciary, and the Gacaca courts were all necessary steps toward ensuring accountability for perpetrators, justice for the victims, and a more conducive environment for peace and reconciliation for the nation. We commend the institutions involved for their efforts, which are a key component of post-genocide renewal. Prevention of genocide and combating the ideology of genocide requires a global commitment from all of us. The United Nations, the African Union, member states, civil societies, all human beings. In conclusion, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us honor the memory of the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda by renewing our collective resolve to prevent genocide and other forms of mass atrocities across the world. Let us resolve to remember, unite, renew in this noble duty. Let us stand united in our commitment to build a more compassionate and more just world where human rights, particularly the right to life, are respected and where peace prevails.